Yo! Video games.
What up, dudes, and welcome back to the Yo Video Games podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Andrew.
And once again, thank you to all our generous patrons who kept us going for almost 500 episodes.
Yeah, if you're interested in becoming a patron at any level, please check out patreon.com/YoVideogames podcast. Dude of the week is Andrew H. Thank you, Andrew.
Hey,
You're welcome, Andrew.
It is a different Andrew, because I was almost about to say, congratulations, Andrew, on patting
me.
It's awesome. But no, thank you for that. So, yeah, we're doing a sort of dust has settled and cleared episode from all the gaming announcements in June. There's a Donkey Kong Direct tomorrow morning, but it's just specifically about Donkey Kong.
And we already know you're amped for it.
Yeah, it's like a 15-minute, whatever. It's just a deep dive video. It's not really a direct, which, I mean, that is springboarding into one conversation already. But yeah, we had our state of play, we had our Xbox showcase, we had our Key 3 event,
E3,
Summer Games Fest. We had that all happen, and I got to attend play days. I got to go hands on with a bunch of stuff, and yeah, we basically know where a lot of people stand. Then Microsoft made like some weird announcement today about like, yeah, we're partnering with AMD again for our next system, and there was some vague wording there in the video by Sarah Bond about like, we're not going to be tied to a single store, which really only helps fuel the rumors, which I can't believe this. I said this as a sort of, this is what years ago, not even that long ago, maybe 2 years ago, or at least a year ago, maybe even on this podcast as well. I was like, you know what Microsoft should do? They should just put Steam on their Xbox.
It seems like they're hinting at maybe that's what's going to happen.
And then like this year has been building and building. Like this is apparently where that's going. Like, yes, their next Xbox is going to have, it'll be like a little Steam box, or it'll have Steam on it. And you'll be able to like, it'll act like kind of like Steam Deck, where it'll be like, oh, Xbox verified or whatever.
Right. And they're what's the language they're using? Microsoft or Windows will be what you game on. So they don't even care about hardware necessarily anymore. They're just going to go to they're going to make Windows the place to game.
Which is really bold for them to say, considering how god awful Windows 11 is as an operating system, how bloated and disgusting it is, how terrible it is for gaming.
Not to mention, think about how bold it is that both of them and Sony are talking about how like next gen is top of mind. It's their biggest priority right now. And it's like, but this gen hasn't really amounted to much.
Yeah, we still haven't really taken off that much. I mean, it was funny because I actually spoke briefly with Mark Cerny at Summer Games Fest, but people were like, did you try him? Did you roast him over the PS5 Pro? And I'm like, no, I asked him about Master System. I asked him how he achieved some programming tricks on the Sega Master System, because that's what I want to do with my time.
I don't want to live in hate. I want to bury myself in love. I also, we got to talk about a little bit, because there's great things that were announced, but what is it called? The the Rogue Xbox Ally X?
Yeah, so there's a new version of the Allies coming out, of like, which is weird. I don't know why they're selling two different models, because like one's more powerful than the others. Just like how there was an Ally, but then there was an Ally X. So it was kind of like, the Asus had their portable gaming PC, and then they had their Pro model come out, and now they're doing like a new version which has like sort of handles on the side, and it is a little bit different on the inside too. If you got a Rogue Xbox Ally X, it would technically be the most advanced version of it, but it's a minor upgrade.
And it's got Xbox controller interfaces.
Yes, it has like an Xbox button, because I have an Ally X, does not have the Xbox button, but I can. It runs on Windows 11, so
right,
it is a portable PC.
Xbox buttons, Xbox sticks, and Xbox D-pad.
Correct. Yeah,
all from the Xbox controller. So
and
if you really love that,
and like these, like it's like a handle. It looks closer to like the PlayStation Portal than it does like current Steam Decks and ROG Allies right now. But
now I'm not saying that no, you know what I am saying? I could do better. What is with the naming conventions that's going on with Microsoft? the Xbox XS, the ROG Xbox Ally X, like who is coming up with and then approving, like,
I don't know, but that's one thing where we can say Nintendo kind of learned, because during this week the Switch 2 launched, and yeah, the Switch 2, it exists.
selling like hotcakes.
And I have one. Da 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 da. Yes, sold like
Clean
hotcakes.
looking.
Well, what we kind of learned straight up was that, yeah, Nintendo made a bunch of these before they sold them.
Yeah.
Like their homework was very much meet demand, and they did, because while you hear about, a lot of people are like, I've heard it both ways where people can't find it, and a lot of people are like, I'm actually having an easy time. I saw some in my store today. Like, they are not hard. They are not impossible to go find and pick up even now, depending on where you are in the country.
The Walmart down the road has a couple.
For you?
So yeah. So I'm not buying one yet. I will buy one eventually, I'm sure. I'm just not buying one yet.
Yeah.
Not for any. I'm not making any grand statements. Sometimes people will say that, and you're thinking like, "Well, why? What's wrong?" Well, I'm just not yet.
Well, to be fair, this has got to be the most muted launch Nintendo's almost ever had,
and yet it's selling well.
Well, it's selling well because it's like I think there's a couple reasons. One, it's just the brand name. It's like, oh my god, the new Switch, I have to get it.
Yeah.
The other one is that, if you're paying attention, the Mario Kart bundle is going away this fall.
Yeah.
So your only chance to buy that game at $50 is about to go away. So you want to get in on that early deal, and then we don't know. It's very likely the price of things just going to go up because of tariffs and shit. So
right.
Better get it now when it's cheaper. So it's
sort
of an investment rather than an actual, feels like an actual video game system launch.
It upsets me because that is definitely how I've seen it framed, but in my mind, anything consumable, anything like entertainment wise, treating it like an investment upsets me. Having to treat it like an investment.
It is a little upsetting. I'm kind of really hoping Donkey Kong next month, and we'll see tomorrow morning what they got in store for it. Really hoping that sort of like does a lot for it, because Mario Kart is fine, but there's a lot of things about Mario Kart World that are where it feels like it's mostly the price tag, because there's like 96 courses now. So if you have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and you bought the booster course expansion pass that they introduced 5 years later, if you got both of those, you have 96 courses on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and you have a bunch of characters. Some of them are like Link and Squidlings and Animal Crossing characters, right? So then if you have that game right now, is $500 for 32 courses in world and the open world you can roam around it outside of racing, is that worth it? Is this a $500 upgrade? And I'm like, I don't know.
If we were still doing party game days, because see, part of the thing is like with Mario Kart, with Smash, with like playing online doesn't scratch the same itch for me as playing in the same room. Like, if I still had the group to go hang out with on Thursdays or whatever, like, yeah, maybe. Honestly, yeah, it might. I don't know if it does for me right now. The thing, I don't want to discourage anyone from buying it. That's the other thing, is like, I genuinely, I'm not trying to talk anyone out of buying the thing. I'm not sold on it yet.
I just think the launch is very weird, because they only launched with one game from Nintendo themselves. Like, they have like one game, and it's a Mario Kart game, which is good, but it's also like every system's going to get a Mario Kart kind of thing.
And third-party support for the Switch 2 is already looking like maybe it's not going to be better than the Switch 1.
That was my big takeaway, was like, all right, so nothing. I waited all through Summer Games Fest and the Xbox, because the Xbox show also, they no longer only list Xbox. They list PlayStation if it's coming to PlayStation, which pretty much was all of them anyways. There was one game between Summer Games Fest and the Xbox Showcase that had a Switch 2 logo, and it was Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4.
Which is
There were more.
still good times.
There were more Switch 1 games announced coming soon from third parties than Switch 2 games. Like, just let that sink in.
It seems like every single new generation is now going to be like transitional. Like, we aren't going to have any purely new generations. They're never going to cut the old generation off ever again. I don't think.
Yeah.
I think we're beyond that. I in a weird way, and I hate to, it sounds corporate to say, we are in a post-generational gaming industry. Like, that's
Right.
just not it's not quite as bad as cell phones yet, but I sort of
It's getting there.
I can see it going that direction.
Well, it's kind of disappointing because you would think because the system was officially out, when Summer Games Fest kicked off. When we got to Jeff's show, it was like the day of was like launch day or something or whatever it was, right day after launch day. I was really kind of hoping that like something like Pragmata and Resident Evil 9 would have Switch 2 ports. Because I get it. I get why some companies may not really be there, but it's like there's others where it's like I was kind of really hoping to see, hey, we'll have this on the system as well. But like now, some people might say, well, the Switch 2 just can't handle it. It just can't do it. Blah 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 blah. And it's like, well, there's a lot of information out there about what the Switch 2 is and isn't, and what it can and can't do. Digital Foundry, even I would even argue, is maybe helped with that misleading a little bit, because they're like, yeah, it's a PS4, and it's like, well, but it can run Cyberpunk 2 a whole lot better than a PS4 can, and it can run it better than a Series S can because of the more modern architecture and features
right.
that it's doing. It's not an apples to orange comparison. It's probably something they would say, well, we covered that in our video, right? But your headline is all that people read, so not necessarily their fault, but they're also not helping the cause. It's a weird thing. It's like, okay, this system is not going to do PS5 stuff, but it does have more modern architecture and things like DLSS and whatnot. So it'll actually be able to do things that older systems, even that, can't necessarily.
PS5's not doing PS5 stuff for the most part. So
right?
Like,
so
I don't know. But that is a good jumping off point, because like, what's best in show for all the things you've seen over Key 3?
Yeah, so the first game I played was the best. There were two that were kind of like, they're very different. The best thing I played was Sword of the Sea, from Giant Squid.
Yeah.
So your hoverboard, it's a hoverboard riding simulator, like from the creators of Journey, Abzu, and the Pathless. And beautiful game, looks gorgeous, sounds gorgeous, plays really well.
It's going to be the same vein of just you're roaming around exploring.
It's kind of like, as they said it, not me, and it was right. Like, Abzu was just sort of like a walking sim, but a swimming sim, right? Where it was like, okay, this is a take it in, soak in the scenery kind of game, move forward. And Pathless, you had a bow and arrow, and you were doing combat in Pathless while zipping along at a really fast speed. And this is like in between. So you're hoverboarding, you're doing tricks and stuff, you're doing a lot more platforming in the game. But it's also not a game that I don't even think there was no combat in the demo I played. So
talk about a company that's really like growing into itself. Like all of their games are same vein, but are getting more ambitious every single time.
Yeah, they're definitely like doing more stuff, like where they're still using a sort of minimalist, but not too minimalist, but minimalist graphic style, but like doing interesting things with it, with like the way like when you bring, because you're like in the demo, you're in a desert and you're trying to return it back to the ocean that it was. So like you'll restore an area to its former oceany glory, right? And it's almost like an ink stain or whatever, where the sand morphs into ocean, and then there's like this river that goes out from it. And it's like a ripple, like a river through time, going through the sand, and it's all these ocean animals are swimming around in this little river in the middle of this desert, and you kind of like
cool.
follow it as you. They're doing cool stuff. It's a very, very, very cool game. Very fun to play. Breezy too. It comes out in August, so.
It's sort of crazy to me that that's your best in show.
That was my best show, and the other one was Shinobi: Art of Vengeance.
I mean, that one makes sense because that one, it looks so sick.
Because it's nothing like, because Sword of the Sea is all like, vibes and music. I mean, the music is both great and both, but it's very tranquil, zen-like experience. And then there's Shinobi: Art of Vengeance, which is just like, this game just fucks from the minute you start playing it.
The thing is, I played Shinobi on Genesis, loved it, but it's slow. I get it's not fair to say that it's slow because everything on the Genesis
it's a slow. I mean, we talked about this too with the Sega reps. Yeah.
When I watched the video that you sent me of the gameplay and stuff, it's like it rips. Like it's over the top. I mean, I was talking about like the lightning strike, how like, that was the most exciting part back on the Genesis. You doing the lightning strike, and there's like a cat call thing, and it's just like it somehow is way cooler in the newer version. Like I went back and watched video of the Genesis version because in my mind I was like, it was really over the top, and it's like, no, you're remembering that. Child you was remembering that as being over the top. No, what it is now is more like how you remember it being. It's just very exciting. I didn't expect to be like, well, no, that's not true. I was amped when they first announced it. I was amped, but then like seeing the gameplay, I sent it to my brother, and we're like, oh, we're gonna do this. Like we got to do this. The amount of hours on because I did you played the original one or the one back on Genesis?
Yeah, there was three back then.
Yeah, 3 was the one that I think I played the most of. Stupid hard.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, ridiculously hard. I don't think we ever actually beat it as kids. I'm pretty certain we never actually beat it. And so I sent the video to my brother, and I was just like, finally, we can beat this.
You probably can, just because there's so much more mobility and combat, like, options and whatever. Like, the game just feels better.
Also, the enemies look so cool.
Yeah.
Like the dude floating around with a sword through his chest. What's up?
Yeah, that's in the trailer. I didn't see that in the game. I fought like a tank, and I fought like I fought like some demon thing or something at the end of like the first level or whatever. But yeah, it was just like,
I would say that would be close to like best in show for me. That'd be close. Otherwise, there wasn't like a bunch of stuff shown at Summer Games Fest.
Yeah, not a ton. Pragmata is actually shockingly fun. Like, it's actually like turning out really well.
Well, that doesn't surprise me, actually.
You'd think it might be this minor thing like Kunimitsu was, or like these like smaller Capcom projects, and it's actually much closer to like a Resident. It's a third-person shooter. Like, you thought it was going to be like some puzzle game, like some eco game or something. No, it's a third-person shooter.
Yeah, it's like a Capcom Dead Space is what people are calling it.
Yeah, I guess kind of something like that. There's a weird hacking mini game that you have to play to expose the weak points on the enemies, but it's not like near where it goes into the hacking minigame and you do that and you go back. It happens in real time. So like there's this little square that comes up on the top right of the screen, and you just use the face buttons, the triangle, circle, whatever. You just move the thing from A to B. Just move it through this little grid based maze, like 3x3 maze or whatever. Just get it to the end, and then they're hacked. And it's doing it in real time, so you have to like a little be on your toes. But you have things where you can zap people into these nets and freeze them in place, so you can just like focus strictly on hacking them or whatever. But it's actually way more fast paced and just fun. It's just a fun third person shooter.
Did you was there anything playable for like Mortal Shell 2 or Arc Raiders or anything like that? Nothing.
There was Mortal Shell 2, no. Arc Raiders, no, not that I'm aware of.
Well, I'm sort of iffy on Arc Raiders, but Mortal Shell
It's
2
good.
looks cool. I don't remember ever trying Mortal Shell 1, so I don't know how amped I should be for this. Because, sometimes there's like games that look really cool, but they're overpromised and then they end up being
Yeah.
sort of. This is how I felt a little bit about Atomic Heart, the first one, where like everyone was like, from the videos, you're like, it's the coolest thing I've ever seen. And then you watch people actually play it and you're kind of like, well, maybe it was a little bit oversold. Um, now they're promising even more. There's the cube and all that stuff. It's like, it must be,
more guns, more presentation, more horny.
yeah. And like people are into it. Like there's like serious fandom for it now.
I've heard some disturbing things though, that the funds of that game actually go right to a Russian military. So
almost definitely. Yeah. The other thing at Summer Games Fest was more Onimusha.
I did get to see that.
Was there anything playable for Onimusha?
Not for me. I got to watch the director play it, but
Still. How does the gameplay look on it?
so here's Onimusha's crazy because Onimusha is not a Souls-like. You look at it and you think, oh, it looks like they're doing the Souls route. No, they're actually not.
It's
they're
Resident Evil
actually,
with swords and demons.
They're going much more like, what if Onimusha was first thought of? What if this was the first Onimusha we ever thought about in 2025? And that's kind of how they're thinking about it. It's linear, like the originals. You're kind of following down a path and you're following a story. It's 3D though, but the combat is not Soulsy at all. Like the two things I can really say are, one, the character's way more dynamic with his animations. So like when he's parrying, he literally moves his sword to where the attack is coming from. So it's not just sort of like he just does like this block stance and he just parried. Yeah, it's not canned. Like and like when someone like for a sword will come up, right? And if he does a parry, he'll like hold up the sword and then he'll basically guide the opponent's sword like down. Like he'll like move it down and out of the ways. So he's doing like a full animation of catching the sword with his sword and then like pivoting it towards the ground.
And that's in the gameplay, not just in.
Yes. Like there was a thing where someone was shooting an arrow at him. He ran past an enemy, and there was an enemy in front of him up on a little tiny little ledge, and he was shooting arrows down. So the enemy he ran past, he parries the arrow, and you can with the other, I think the right analog stick, you can choose where it goes, but he shoots the arrow at him, and he parries the arrow to go behind him and hit the enemy he ran past. So you do like these weird things where like no, who cares? Like the game's got demons and shit. It ain't real.
No, but I mean, like that's cool as hell. But I always get a little bit skeptical when you see that at showcases because it's like, is that really going to be something you can do in the game? Or is it
is
be like
because he fucked up twice.
Okay, that's cool as hell.
Like he fucked up twice, and then he finally did it, and it happened so fast I almost missed it. I was like, oh,
it's not a quick time event. That's cool as hell.
No, it's not. You have to like aim in the direction with the other when you hit the button to parry for him to like knock it in that direction.
I mean, I suppose since we're talking about Onimusha, and we should talk about a little bit of Resident Evil because you got to see them play through some of that.
Yeah. And some very, very few people, Max was one of them, got to play the demo I saw being played. But it was so... I would be real with it. It's so tiny. It's so tiny. I'm going to be the Grinch here and say, like, nothing of the gameplay we saw in RE9 was all that exciting. It just wasn't. It was more Resident Evil, very much in the vein of 7, because this is 7's director. So we saw no combat. We saw no firing of weapons. We saw nothing. It was running between bedrooms in an old dilapidated hospital, running from room to room down hallways, avoiding a 10-foot tall zombie lady who would chase you like she was the alien from Alien Isolation. She'd go up into the ceiling. She doesn't like light. She avoids light. We were looking at Outlast. We were looking at this tiny, tiny little sliver of a game that was only like, about like 4 or 5 rooms maximum, and like 2 hallways. And It was like, gotta find, get to end of hallway, find fuse. Fuse is over here, but it's locked. Need a screwdriver to open the spare fuse. Go to this closet, go to the toolbox, get the screwdriver, go back to the room with the spare fuse, unscrew the fuse, take that back to the fuse box, open the gate, demo ends. Like,
And the whole time you're being chased.
most of the time. About half of the time you're being chased. Because after you get this, when you get the screwdriver, that's when the 10-foot tall zombie ladies appears and is chasing you. So going back to the spare fuse and then taking the spare fuse to the fuse box, that second half of the demo is, yeah,
I just obviously
it's
I'm gonna be
fine, but
amped
it's just
for it.
like it was.
I'm wearing a Resident Evil shirt right now.
I'm sure there's a lot more to the game, but it's like we saw nothing new. We didn't see any new, which is weird because Jeff and Capcom both mentioned how the game was gonna, it had these big changes, these big, there's big things coming for this game, and we literally saw like the most stripped down experience of like this is RE7 when you have literally nothing. Like you get a key and you get a screwdriver and you get a spare fuse, and then you find empty bottles which you can throw.
Right. What I wonder where's the next time we're gonna get to see it, I guess.
I think
Before release.
Gamescom is when they said
Gamescom.
Gamescom's going to have like a public playable demo. I think maybe that'll go online even, hopefully, but it'll probably just be the demo I saw and some people already played. I don't, which is weird. It's almost like I don't know if it's the best showcase of RE9 because the trailer hints at you're going to go back to Raccoon City and it's going to be all blown out and you're going to there's going to be all these characters from the past. It's going to be connecting stuff from Outbreak and blah blah blah. And then what we're playing here is like this tiny little sliver of Nothing Burger that is basically like 5 minutes of Outlast.
This is an aside, but I can't believe they haven't done an updated Outbreak yet, especially considering online.
Nobody can. Nobody gets it. No one understands this.
It's like I don't.
I feel like this would be the best time since your main character is the daughter of a character from Outbreak. Why don't you just make Outbreak?
Yeah,
remake. Just do it. What the
bring
hell?
it back. What are you doing? They got. Yeah, I don't know how any of these decisions get made because there's obvious decisions. Obviously, I can't know what's going on behind the scenes. You don't have to comment that. I know that. But like, part of me is just like, how have they not brought back Outbreak? How have they stayed with like they've dropped so many characters that are interesting in favor of one a brand new character who is now dead in the series and Leon sort of period. Like everybody wanted this to be a Leon game for
Right,
some
because
reason.
it's funny. We're playing the daughter of a character from Outbreak.
Yeah, like
which is
the
like
journalist, I think.
Okay, the daughter of an Outbreak character, the daughter of an obscure spin-off character.
Yeah.
But Billy's gone. Rebecca's gone, pretty much for all intents and purposes. We've had a few games with Claire, I guess, but Sheva's gone. Helena's gone. Nobody cares about that.
Hey,
Sherry,
some people like
Sherry
Helena.
was back for 6, but she's basically gone now. Jake's gone.
Yeah, Jake is just gone. Sherry's just gone. That's weird as hell to me. I don't know how this franchise is going or why, but
Jill's basically gone too. She hasn't been in a game since 5, like a new game. She's been in remake of 3, but
that's true. Yeah,
like there's just a lot of characters that just kind of vanished from this franchise.
Because Leon is life. Because Leon and Chris bromance. It's beautiful.
Apparently.
Yeah, okay, obviously I'm amped for RE9.
Like I'm excited for the game, but I can't sit here and tell you like this was the most amazing demo. Oh my god, like what I saw was incredible. Yeah. It's just like, oh, well, it was not much, and it was pretty bog standard kind of survival horror first person stuff.
What was that? There was another one that was survival horror, Ill.
I've heard Ill I've heard a lot about Ill, but I didn't play it.
What I just want to know if I mean, since you didn't play it, you can't answer this, but like does it actually feel good to play? Because that's another one, like the Mortal,
Mortal Coil.
yeah, Mortal Coil
Well,
2, where it's like it
you're
looks
both kind of
sick.
talking about Souls-like. What I can tell you is that I did play a Souls-like game there that I have to make a video about it. Wu Chang Fallen Feathers.
Right
It's
on.
another very pretty Souls-like from a Chinese developer, Len Shi, and I wasn't super blown away. Graphically, very good, but very weird gameplay design decisions in that game.
Hmm.
Um, one being namely, so the game wants to has like a perfect dodge mechanic, but you can get a parry, but the parry is strictly for the longsword, and only if you upgrade the longsword to a certain level. So, and then when you do unlock parry for the longsword only for at a certain level, you can't parry melee attacks. You can only parry blade attacks. It's like you're fighting a boss who's got one of those one-handed swords, and they're doing all kinds of sword attacks on you, and you can parry them. But if they throw a punch or a kick in their string, you can't parry that. Why?
Hmm. Huh. I So the thing is I'm crap at parry mechanics anyway, so maybe it won't matter for me. Maybe this is not a
It's
point.
just a very bizarre decision where they have like this whole mechanic in place where they're like, okay, parries can be unlocked on a specific weapon, but they can only be used against certain types of attacks, and not just like magic or real, but like no, like if it's a punch or a kick, you can't parry it. Why? Why even make that hyper distinction?
They just hate you specifically.
It just feels like over designed in a way.
Hmm. I don't know how I feel about that game just in general.
It's pretty, but there's just some weirdness. Like there's like little enemies who are like little like flea men from Castlevania or whatever,
Oh yeah.
and they have this command grab, right, where they jump up and grab you and stab you in the neck like 4 times or whatever. You'll be running away from them, and they'll jump up, and you see the game like auto move them towards you, and they're like coming very like almost frozen in midair, but moving like very slowly, just and then magnetizing to your neck, and then they do their big attack animation. It's like what the hell? Like it looks so goofy and weird. Um,
Goofy and weird isn't bad, but like
well, not when the animation is clearly like bizarre. Like, and then there was a time where I was the demo where there's one of them supposed to jump down from a land bridge onto you. But if you go down this hill a certain way, you'll come up to him, right? So you get close to him, like, oh, I'm going to go do stab him in the back animation, right? Well, you get close to him, so it triggers his jump down and attack animation. So he jumps off this land bridge and just takes away 80% of his own health. Just weird. It's just a really weirdly designed game. And then like I found like because I'm going through like this ancient I don't know where it would be, but just like a fantasy ancient Asian folklore landscape or whatever, right? And there's like all these you go to these temples and villages areas, and they're all like raised to the ground. Everyone's dead, right?
yeah.
And there's like this dead woman on the ground, in like a kimono or something, something like that, like peasant clothes, right? And I pick up, but it's got a little shiny thing, so I can pick it up. Oh, it's got loot on it. I pick up loot, and I pick up her clothes, and her clothes is like it's like a top and a bottom. I don't remember what the top was. It was just like a robe or whatever. The bottom was sexy lingerie, like string lingerie with like really tiny red spots for the front and back. And it had like mixed stats where it was like some stuff was better. So you literally just find battle armor bikini off the dead corpse of this peasant woman in ancient times, but it looks like something that came from Friedrichs of Hollywood.
Okay. So what we're saying is probably not a game that I will play. Although you might enjoy streaming it with all of its jank.
No, I'm done. I just beat Lies of P's DLC, which was fantastic, but also overtuned to fuck. Because like it's good, but it's also designed for people who've been playing that game nonstop.
Ooh.
So it's just like
Punishing.
it's just way more difficult than anything in the base game, and They want you to remember that. However, they added two easier difficulty options on it because the Liza P devs just said, I think more people should enjoy our game. So let's
So
give
they're
them an easier
smart.
one. Yes.
So they're smart. All right, let's talk about some Xbox game showcase. Obviously, you saw Super Meat Boy 3D.
I'm excited about that. Like there was a
Which
couple things at Microsoft where I was like, yeah, I'm kind of excited about this. Nothing I was blown away. There was no Expedition 33 this year, unfortunately.
there was a couple things that I'm trying to I don't want to say their name wrong because Kronos, the New Dawn is
Yeah.
sort of interesting. I mean, but it's Bloober Team. Um I know everyone's giving it like a lot of hate, but Clockwork Revolution sort of the world at least seems
I don't know.
interesting
I
to
thought
me.
that game looked interesting. The thing is,
Yeah,
it's another weird first person RPG, which seemed
which
like that was like the going theme of this Xbox this year because they had Outer Worlds 2
yeah.
and they had Clockwork Revolution, and that's just coming off of Avowed and what other Obsidian stuff they got cooking. So it's almost kind of like, holy crap, guys, there's a lot of this.
Well, it's
Or it just
also
felt like a lot. Maybe it was just because of how long it was.
well, no, but they seem to go into like where it's like every couple of years they release a lot of similar games.
Yeah.
It's like they green light in these waves of like, well, now we need like one of these, but they get like 6 pitches and they're like, yeah, all of them.
Yeah, because one of them's going to hit. It basically seems like it becomes like this. They're having like an Iron Man or a battle royale contest where it's like we desire a first person shooter RPG to replace Fallout during the time when there's no Fallout. Everybody give me your best pitches.
And they say yes to all of them.
And there was and Fallout 76 had an upgrade thing there too, with the fishing thing or whatever. So
It
yeah,
did,
that
yeah,
was
and there was a
also there.
Black Ops 7.
Yes.
Uh
Confirming Black Ops 7. There's a lot of weird rumors going around with Call of Duty. Like they're actually going to sunset Modern War or Warzone 2.
really?
Yeah, I don't know if I believe that. I find that I find that kind of what nah.
Isn't that
It,
kind of their money printer right now?
well, I mean they're going to replace it. The idea is
Right.
that because you know how like Warzone 1 went away and then Warzone 2 took it over, and then they're going to do. Apparently, they're thinking of doing the same thing again for Warzone 2 and doing either a Blackout 2 or just something else.
I mean, a Blackout 2 wouldn't be all that bad.
I mean, I would like it. Ideally, I would like that, but I don't know how they won't. A Blackout 2 will not be what I want because that doesn't make money.
Right.
Warzone makes money, which is why I find like these rumors kind of weird and dubious. Where I'm like, could they be sunsetting Warzone 2? Yes, I think Warzone has probably lost a lot of mind share, a lot of players. People are just sick of it, and it just got to a point where it wasn't fun, and there were other things to play out there.
Right.
So I could see them not they're not going to give up on free to play Call of Duty. Absolutely not. They're just going to rebrand it. And I could see them rebranding it, and I could see them doing a fresh start just
Well, I mean,
because Warzone is not particularly well beloved by anyone right now.
yeah, if they bring back Warzone and DMZ, like a new iteration of it with Omni movement, and part of the reason that Warzone always ends up broken, same with Warzone 1 to Warzone 2, is they continuously try to release new weapons that break the game.
Yeah, which I
And so it
think
just becomes
the
a
thing
cycle
is
of bullshit.
exactly, which is you and I don't like this, but it also is how they make their money.
Yeah.
Which is why, as much as everyone would love for that to go away, I don't think it can.
Well,
I don't think they can get rid of like loadouts and weapon balance adjusting because that's how they make money.
I'm fine with loadouts, um, and to an extent, I'm fine with new weapons a certain amount of time. Like I just every couple of weeks they release a new weapon that breaks the whole game and blah.
Hmm.
I don't know. Cosmetics and stuff, they make plenty of money off of cosmetics. Like they could just keep releasing new characters. That's cool even. New characters with new cosmetics and stuff like that is cool.
I think
Um
maybe the reason why it hasn't been as successful for COD is that one, CODs tend to be kind of ugly, and the cosmetics become really hit or miss with the COD style. like really hit or miss. I mean, don't get me wrong. Even Fortnite has its misses sometimes. Hi, Guile. But Fortnite, most of the time when they come in, they look pretty good in Fortnite. So COD can sometimes have people come in and they look rough,
Well,
which doesn't help.
Now that Microsoft owns it, like they could do all sorts of guest characters that Activision wouldn't have done before.
Right. I mean, you could throw Doomslayer in there. You could throw Master Chief in there, stuff like that. Dom.
All sorts of characters.
The entire cast of Gears of War, honestly.
That would be kind of cool. Could you imagine if they did a guest weapon of the chainsaw gun from Gears of War?
Yeah, I mean, all it has to be is a unique kill animation, which wouldn't break the game in any way.
I don't know. I think there's potential there that they could do, especially if they did Blackout style.
I mean, well, when you say that, I'm assuming what you mean is what I want, which is you find the weapons on the ground.
I mean, yeah, they could have a version just like that. They don't have to.
Don't call in a loadout. You find what you get what you find.
Yeah, they could have a classic version basically, and I would play the hell out of that.
Would be wonderful.
Yeah, loadouts. Yeah, the game becomes about the loadout, and then once people have certain loadouts, I don't know. But yeah, if they had a classic version, that'd be cool. Or if they got rid of loadouts altogether in Warzone and loadouts were only allowed in DMZ, I don't know if that would kill their entire player base or not.
I mean, they've done a good enough job already.
They're doing their best. That and having multiple levels to play rather than like having the levels sort of cycle. It's just like having persistent, being able to play Alcatraz whenever you want, being able to play.
Yeah, it's funny how much they tried to like not do that, and then they always end up like it's so much like the Thanos line where like they try to do like, oh well we'll take away Alcatraz, try the new map, try this. Just all anyone ever wants is Alcatraz.
Yeah.
Or Prison Island, whatever they call it now. And it's just like, you could not live with, your own failure. And where did that lead you? Right back to me. It's like the map is just a good map. It is a perfect 40-player map. Like there needs to be someone needs to just like stop taking shit away. All you do is like get people to go pay attention to something else elsewhere.
Yeah, no, I mean now I'm going down this like speculation line of like what would a Warzone 3 look like? What would it be? Would it just be Black Ops only? Or would they
I mean, when it comes to that, like I said, the Vanguard map, I forget what they called the island, but the Pacific Island map was what I wanted.
Right.
But because it was cross-gen, it didn't look very good. And then they actually got rid of like 50% of the vegetation on top of the release anyways, because snipers were bitching like hardcore about it. And I'm like, motherfucker.
COD isn't COD if you don't have snipers. Everywhere. All the time.
It was so disappointing to me because I was like, man, that's all I wanted. I wanted a dense jungle setting map. And we didn't get it. And then we did get it, but it was crap. And then they took away half the vegetation because snipers couldn't headshot people from, on the other side of the map. It's like, oh, God.
I guess what the final thing we should talk about, unless there was something else from Xbox that you were like, this is amazing. I didn't, what was it? Let me see. Mudang 2 Hearts? Mudang? What am I
know what you're talking about, yes.
It's like a stealth action thing. I don't remember seeing that at all in the showcase. I watched the whole showcase. I do not recall seeing this. And I was wondering, is that like one of the things that you remember seeing?
It's like that one, just the conference, I think. The one game that actually is getting some sort of talk and debate, and I've gotten an email about this. I can officially say this. I have played it, and it is better than you think. And that's the Invincible versus.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay.
So I'm not particularly happy with how that trailer was. The first part of the trailer is cool, but like the gameplay portion, I wasn't particularly happy because I don't think it really showed you at all what the game
Yeah, is it a
can do.
tag game?
Yes, it's a 3v3. It's a 3v3 tag game.
Okay. Yeah, it is confusing when it gets to the second half of that trailer is a little bit
Yeah.
confusing.
Yeah, it really is, and I'm not really happy about that. And I don't know, like it's a better game than you think. I think when that game shows up someday in the future with a playable version, I think a lot of people are going to be surprised. This is season 1 KI devs. It that is out there now. So this game is better than anything, and you can see it from the trailer. So I know this is in the trailer, so I can talk about this a lot. It is violent, but it is stylized, and it is really fun. Where like a character, I don't know what the exact word is, but like say like a character's nearly dead, right?
Mhm.
And someone does like gets a super off, and he's like doing like some big punching super to finish the character off, or he does like a grab. You'll hear the character's band be like, get fucked, and he'll just like punch his head off. Like when the game knows that okay, you've hit the character's nearly dead, you got the super off, it connected, and the character will then like have an extra quip in there, be like, go fuck yourself, and just like punch a hole through their chest or whatever.
Yeah, so it has the gore from the comic / the show where like as the fight goes on, they are more and more and more and more beat up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of battle damage, and the characters are not it's not constantly, but like the characters can get filthy with their mouth.
So you got to play as Rexplode.
I don't know who that is.
Rexplode is in the show he's voiced by Jason Mantzoukas. He's the guy that he's like Gambit. He's the invincible version of Gambit, where he transfers energy into coins and throws exploding coins at people. But he says a lot of like "get fucked" and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying from the characters in the show, you can kind of hear it, but like in the game too, yes. So like, trust me, when you play, I have played this game. I'm allowed to say that when you play this game, the characters are mouthy, and they're like they're smack talking each other.
Yes, good. That's straight out of the show and the comic. In the show, this is spoilers, heavy spoilers for the show if you haven't watched the show, but it's been out for like a year. Rexplode's death scene happens in this like a bunch of evil invincibles come and are beating the crap out of the world, and Rexplode's low powered by a significant margin compared to Invincible. And so Invincible literally sticks it. This guy like has ripped open Rexplode, and he's like all out of things to explode. And so the way Rexplode kills him is by transferring a shitload of energy into his own skeleton to suicide bomb. And his last words are like, "But I have a fucking skeleton," and just explodes all over the dude. Turns himself into shrapnel. Rexplode. If he doesn't have an exploding skeleton sacrifice move in the fighting game, come on. It's a missed opportunity. I guess the last thing we should talk about here, by the way, is not to do with any of the dust settling on the showcases, but we should talk about Marathon.
So Marathon officially got delayed, which apparently the staff at Bungie who don't work on Marathon didn't even know this was happening. until they saw the Twitter posts. Like the people working on Marathon knew, but like the people within Bungie that weren't directly on Marathon were like, "Oh, I guess we're delaying it."
Indefinitely too. They didn't give a time that it was being
delayed.
But
they did give a detailed thing about what they want to do specifically, and they want to do more closed alphas. I have more faith that this is not a. There is part of me. There's two sides of me. There's one side is like this is fucking getting canceled.
Yeah,
and then there's
backdoor cancel.
Yeah, and then the other side of me is like, maybe they're actually going to try to salvage something from this.
Because they sank too much money into it, you think?
Yeah, and it is Bungie. So
I want it to be good.
If this sinks, then like Bungie might be just like might be right there on the chopping block. In which case, it's like, okay, well, that's not good either. So it's a frustrating thing, really, because Bungie is owned by Sony. There should be no fucking fear of the studio going under whatsoever. They made Halo, they made Destiny. You know, they're struggling with Marathon here, but they made two of the biggest first person shooter IPs in the world.
Yeah, ever.
At no point should Sony ever be fucking thinking of shuttering this studio. But that's not the world we live in now, is it? Because
and also they did bend Sony over in their acquisition.
Sure. I mean, I can understand being a little salty because it's kind of like, you know, yeah, I just sold you. Yeah, it's like you bought a home for like, you know, $1 million over its value, and then the housing market crashes, and you're like, oh man, it's like, well, but
I could see him being a little salty. Yeah,
I can say, yeah, sure, but like there should just be no fear about this. It's kind of like, it's funny, as an aside, we just learned about today how Warner Brothers Games is splitting up.
Yeah.
And it's going to be focused on 4 games specifically: Harry Potter games and Game of Thrones games. Which I'm like, I don't know if there's much gas left in that tank, but okay, you do you. Mortal Kombat and DC specific. Like, which is funny because this guy from NetherRealm is going to be in charge of NetherRealm and DC, and then I forget the other guy's in charge of Harry Potter and Game of Thrones.
Part of the reason that WB Games had the success it had with, say, like Arkham, or, you know, is like they took risks on games that weren't necessarily.
Yeah, like the first Arkham was kind of like oh, really? We're going to try to do a big serious Batman game? Like, these never turn out well.
Yeah, and now they're just like, their new strategy is to take no risks at all. We're going to stay within, well, I guess our lane. We're going to keep, everyone's going to stay in their lane, and no one's going to try anything new.
Well, imagine this. Here's the thing. This is like how I feel like Bungie should not have any fear of getting close, but they do, because imagine you're WB Games and you have all these studios. You have a studio that created Fear, and they did Condemned, and they did No One Lives Forever, and they did 2 successful, well-liked Shadows of Mordor, Shadows of War game, 2 Lord of the Rings games. And you're like, we're going to focus entirely on, say, Game of Thrones games. Well, the guys who did Shadow of War and Shadow of Mordor, seems like that would be a pretty easy fit for them to take them. Those games had like a sort of Arkhamish combat system and a sort of nice big open, not necessarily open world, but like a big environment area. They definitely seem like a good fit, right? Oh no, that studio's fucking gone.
Yeah.
Because the Wonder Woman game was taking too long. You literally had the people to do it, and they're fucking gone. Like, Monolith Productions should never have been in fear of getting shuttered, because all they had done was bangers. Then they had some trouble making a Wonder Woman game, and then fuck it, studio gone.
Yeah, and it probably wasn't their fault that the game was moving slow.
Yeah, I doubt it very much. So it's kind of like,
probably not.
Warner Brothers itself, yes, I know they're having a rough patch or whatever from all their very stupid decisions that they've been making. But Warner Brothers as a company, Warner Brothers Games, nobody who's owned by Warner Brothers Games should have ever had any fear going under, because they didn't own a ton of studios.
Right.
They have NetherRealm, they had WB Games Montreal, they have Rocksteady, they had Monolith Productions, and they have Avalanche now. It's not a ton. We're not talking like this. It's not like they have like an Activision level of amount of employees in studios. Like, they should have just kept these people around to do the games they want to do.
Well, it's also like Monolith getting taken out, but Rocksteady being safe. Wild. Didn't Rocksteady have a much bigger flop in
Suicide
Squad? Like, what? I don't understand.
Which is kind of the really surprising part of it, where it's like, what? I think it's because the Batman games were so much bigger than the Shadow of War or Shadow of Mordor games.
Right.
Like, those games were good and they did sell well, but they didn't sell as well as, say, Arkham City or Arkham Knight.
Right.
So I think that's the only reason they're maybe surviving. Also, they're in the UK. I don't know if that makes it better or worse for keeping the studio open or not, but because Monolith was in like Washington or Seattle or somewhere in the Northern California or Pacific Northwest, one of the two. So they were in a very, very expensive area. And from what I understand, Rocksteady's not in London proper, but more countryside, I think, or less in the middle of London, I think. So I don't know. Maybe it was just cheaper. Maybe that weighed in, but I don't know. There's this funny thing I read today, which is not necessarily game related, but because of they're splitting Warner Brothers in half again or whatever.
Again, yeah.
Zaslav is going to take a pay cut, which I'm sure someone was like, "Oh, he's taking a pay cut." He's taking that bitch could never earn $1 for the rest of his life, and he still wouldn't be able to spend the money he made in the last 2 years.
That and I mean, I don't know if I'd necessarily say it's his fault that WB and HBO has just like gone down the drain, but like he's managed it for the spiral down. He might not have been the one who flushed, but he's the person who's been managing the spiral. Just saying. I don't know why he keeps getting
I don't know. It was funny to me when they were talking about, oh, he's taking a pay cut. I'm like, whoop-de-doo. Like,
yeah.
Again, he could never, not much of one, and two, he could never earn another cent in his life, and he would die a multimillionaire.
Gah. All right. So to recap, we didn't even talk about Death Stranding 2. It happened.
It was there, I guess. I saw Kojima at Summer Games Fest with his entourage. Yes, Jeff Keighley was with him. Jeff Keighley was falling behind his entourage.
Hell yeah.
Actually, even. But, Kojima was there.
Kojima...
Someone was asking me if he had shades on. I'm like, yeah, he did, actually. And they're like, yeah, he actually had a botched eye surgery, apparently.
No shit.
Yeah, like he went in for like a laser eye surgery or something, and it got kind of botched.
He's walking
around with eyeglasses and shit now.
No shit. I hope he's okay. I mean, he had a really interesting. At first, my first reaction to the thing he was saying was like, "Oh, fuck you." But then, actually, after thinking about it, I was like, "Well, kind of. I get what he's going for." Where he's like, he was saying he had game testers playing the loop in Death Stranding 2, and they got it. It clicked with them too quickly. Like they got it and loved it too fast. And he was all like, no, I don't want that. I got to change it. I want them to try something so new that it takes them a while to decide they like it. That's how you get someone that ends up with something they love. And I was like, I don't know that I necessarily agree with it. Especially when I first heard it, I was kind of like, okay.
Yeah, his whole I only want 40% of my people to love my game. I don't want like 80%. I was like,
right. It's like, okay.
I'm sure Sony loves hearing that.
But I do think one thing that is interesting about that philosophy, and something that I do agree with, is people don't know what they'll love until they love it. Like, you can't go like, here's this thing. You can't sell a person on a thing. Like, they'll never be able to tell you what they're going to love. This is true of movies, of books.
Yeah.
Of, like, in a lot of ways, like, the things that end up becoming beloved or iconic or whatever, like, nobody knew they wanted it until they had it, and then they were like, I love this. If that makes sense. Like,
yeah.
And so part of me is like, okay, I understand where he's coming from for that, but God, there's no douchier thing than to say, like, yeah, people are really loving it, so I had to change it.
Here's his other problem. It's a sequel. It's a part 2.
Yeah.
So people who are already going to go in there with that expectation or whatever.
He's an interesting guy. He's a weird guy, but I do.
He's a weird dude, and I think he works better. I don't know. I think it'd be better if he was not doing. Personally, I'm like, I almost wish he wasn't doing Death Stranding 2. Part of me was just like, I kind of wish he just moved on to just do random other things, just do nothing but make new IP until you die, kind of thing.
Yeah, well, he has that thing that he's doing for Microsoft, right?
Yeah, he has OD, and then there's the other spy game.
Else about.
Yeah, and then the other spy game for Sony, which, if anything, I think that was super weird of Microsoft to sit there and Phil comes out and we got all these great games. We got Fable, Perfect Dark, Gears of War E-Day, and all these other games that are coming soon. And then they didn't show, and we also have this. I'm like, why on earth did you not show
Any of that?
Yeah. Fable and Perfect Dark and Gears of War and your next Forza game. Why on earth would you not show that at your conference?
I especially since two of those things are the things that I'm most looking forward to from Xbox.
Yeah, it was super bizarre. And maybe we'll talk about this next week or something, but I really want Nintendo to do a little. I really want them to put a direct out and try to like. I don't know. It feels like Nintendo's like, yeah, we're selling. We had the biggest launch in video game history. We're doing great. Yeah. What about some new games? Don't worry about it. They're coming, baby. They're coming. We'll get to it. It'll happen. Part of me is like, get competitive. Like, I want to see I want to see you try. Well, I really just want to see Monolith Sauce next game. I don't really care about the rest.
No, but I would like to see Nintendo trying. Like they're in their own league right now, so they don't have to try.
Yeah, and that bugs me. I miss desperate Nintendo when Switch 1 came out, and it was like, we're desperate. Here's everything you want. Speaking of,
hit the ground running.
Summer Games Fest and the following Playdays thing, it runs really well. It is a smooth running procedure. Like it is a very well run thing. It's in a very weird place, but it's put together very well. That being said, and some people were actually agreeing with me on this, which I thought was surprising, I miss the circus. I miss the circus that is E3. I miss it when companies were trying to dick measure by outspending millions and millions of dollars per booth. I miss that sort of like I miss that wasteful fucking spending.
Yeah. Well, we talked about this a little bit last week with Rick, where it's just like E3 was such a confusing, especially like I don't know, 2010 E3, 2011 E3. What was the year? What was the year like? What was it? ODST was there. There was just like it was like overflowing. It was by the end of E3, there wasn't the same overflowing, dick measuring, insane booths. But there was like a middle year there where like all the parking lots around the convention center were rented by other things to like
Devolver and shit like that, right? Yeah.
You could walk 2 blocks in to get into E3 and there was a bunch of E3 event stuff happening.
Yeah. Because like EA would do their thing at LA Live and Microsoft would bought the theater for LA Live to do their thing, and Devolver would be outside in front or at
throwing
the Hooters
an 80s
or
barbecue.
Whatever. Did you have a story? I want to say you did. You and was it Mike went to the Hooters in front of the LA Convention Center?
Yeah,
one time.
I got there early, and it was me and Welzenbach, and I think it was just me and Welzenbach, and there was nowhere open to eat yet, and so like maybe an hour before E3 opened, Hooters opened, and it was the first thing open to eat at, and I had never eaten at a Hooters. And so Wells-Bach, okay, let's go to Hooters. And then
that was your first time.
Yeah, and Mike and Barry met us there. And then I don't remember how it accidentally, and it was an accident, but for whatever reason, we ended up day drinking before E3 opened. And Welzenbach, when he gets a little in him, will get a little like, well, I'm buying everybody a shot of whiskey. And he bought like Johnny Walker Blue or way too expensive. He spent too much money on. And so we ended up blitzed. And we wandered in. And so I have all these, like, I should put them up on the wall. It's just like 3 or 4 progressively more drunk of me, Mike, Welzenbach, and then Barry is pregnant. And so she's stone cold sober. And you see us like, we went into some Crave Studios tent, and it's us sort of like in an island background taking a picture, and then progressively more blitzed going in. And then we take the ODST picture, and it's like us doing Star Wars poses on that like 3D ODST picture thing.
Good Lord.
And this is like bright red face.
I'm just picturing you. This is like Red Dead 2 when you're in the saloon and you're like, Lenny. You're just progressively getting more and more.
That's the year that I was supposed to be filming stuff with Max, and Max got really annoyed because I wandered off with Mike to get footage of Mike in the Warthog.
That was like Halo 4 or something.
Was that 4 or was that ODST?
ODST was like 08 or 09. I don't think it was that far back.
What was the
It was Halo 4 or 5, dude.
Oh, so maybe it was Halo 4 or 5. But was that also the year they had that like 3D chalk painting?
I don't know,
on
but I
the
know there was
ground
the Warthog, which you like sweet talk someone into getting into the Warthog,
the
which
VP of marketing.
the rest of the show after that day that Andrew and Mike and a bunch of people got in the Warthog, they had to rope off the Warthog.
It was just Mike. I was the only one that got footage of it, and then Max got really worried that somebody would get mad at him, so he never used the footage. But I had permission. I got permission from a very high up man. He was very nice.
The weird thing is, though, I've seen that kind of go both ways, though. Like, oh, you get permission to do something, and then you go do it, and then someone else on the convention staff loses their shit.
Yeah, no, it just wasn't. In my defense, I wasn't all that tricky. I just I asked the right questions to the right people, and I didn't necessarily give full information. Necessarily. Mostly, I was like, "Oh, hey, I would like to get footage of my talent in."
All you wanted was a picture of you guys driving the Warthog.
Well, no, I just wanted a picture of Mike in front of the Warthog, and then they were like, "Oh, nobody can go in the Warthog without." And they pointed out this guy, and I was like, "Oh, we can go in the Warthog." And they were like, "Only if that guy says," because they misunderstood me at first. All I wanted was a picture in front of it. And then I walked over to that guy and I was like, "Hey, I just was told I had to get your okay for, my talent to." And Mike is just standing off in the back with his sunglasses on, with his arms crossed, like, and I was like, to get in the driver's seat of the Warthog, and we're gonna. He's like, they said it was okay. I was like, if you say it's okay. He was like, all right. And so we went and did it real quick, and then like an hour later, everything was roped off.
Oops.
So there's just footage of Mike acting like he's driving a Warthog.
There is a story I will tell one day, not even here, not even on this podcast. That was even worse than that. Of what I did at E3. Something like that, but like even more nefarious.
They're gone now. They can't hurt you.
No, well, the company, the booth of the company.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, don't do that. They'll never remember me, so it's fine. On that note, we do have producers to thank. If you're interested in becoming a patron at any level, please check out patreon.com/YoVideogames podcast. Dude of the week was Andrew H. Thank you so much. And our producers for this episode are Dragonwolf Makoto, Austenite, Cybernite, Skernami, Koroi35, Hyperviper89, LCL Mayhem, and Ziggy C. Thank you, dudes. We'll catch you next time.
Later, dudes.